Good afternoon, it's Jeff and Wilma here at Budrum, and we just want to do this part 2 of the small hive beetle Casualty. Now, in our first video I showed you all the boxes that we'd taken off the back of the truck, and I showed you how we were taking the muck out of one box that was full of small hive beetle. Now that wasn't, there was that box and another box that was like that. A lot of the boxes had frames with drawn comb that was sort of half eaten out by wax moth. A lot of them had cockroaches and spiders. I had one spider about that big, I suppose. We just released him into the garden. We didn't kill any spiders, we just put him in the garden. Now, I presented myself with a challenge. I thought there must be some wax in all this. So I thought, I wonder how much we'd get out of all this if I cut it all out. So what I did was I perched myself on the seat with a fish bin and a knife, and for 2 days I just scratched all the wax out, and some of the frames had just foundation there that was all sort of half eaten by wax moth, and I had wax moth all over me. I had cockroaches crawling all over the place. I told Wilma that I've got some good news and some bad news. The bad news is we've doubled our cockroach population, but the good news was that we didn't introduce any new species of cockroach.
I wasn't very impressed though.
But anyway, we got some spray for them. So anyway, so what I did was I got about 7 bins of wax and stuff I got out of the frames, and what I did was I just used this here. Now this also tells you, this video also tells you how we process the wax. So what I do with this bread bin, this is the bread bin my parents had when I was a kid, and what I do is I put about 4 or 5 litres of water in there and put it on the stove, and then put all the wax in there, and then bring it to the boil. And what happens is the water takes all the dirt out of the wax, and then and then what I do then is I've got a wax mould here, and so we've got a wax mould here and a strainer. So we just pour everything through the strainer, and the water and the wax goes in the mould. And so what I do is get a spoon and just scrape the wire. Now this strainer is that Termi mesh. It's a stainless steel, pretty fine wire. It's the same stuff we use to strain the honey.
Did you make that strainer?
Yeah, I just made that the same size as the mould. So it sits on there, and so what I did was there was a fair bit of. So what you do then is let it cool down, and then what you'll have is naturally your wax will set on top of the water, and then you get a fair bit of muck.
Excuse me.
Bless you. So you get a fair bit of muck under the wax. So there was a fair bit that this is the muck that I scraped off the bottom of the wax. So this is only part of it, so I've got a fair bit of that, and more than what you'd get normally. Now that's cockroach poo, wax moth poo, muck, dirt, dust, everything that come out of these frames, and all that goes into the garden. The water that's left over when the wax is cooled goes into the garden. You don't put it directly onto the plants. You just put it in the garden away from the plants a bit, and then the earthworms will recycle that. So now, in summary, I've got everything together here. Can you? I'll just move it out of your way.
You're going to talk about the wax you got?
Yeah. So this is all the boxes we got. There's about 40 odd boxes here. We had half a wheelie bin of frames that were broken, so we put them in the wheelie bin. And a lot of these frames you can reuse, but not that I'm short of frames. And anyway, about the I showed you this on the first video, the box of frames that we got that hasn't been opened. That's all the queen excluders we've got. We've got another 3 queen excluders here. I've got a mountain of lids. Now behind Wilma there's 11 boxes that I mentioned in the other video that were made out of chipboard. This pile of boxes there. So some of them have been used, they're not too bad. There's another 5 that we put out for firewood because they're all swollen up, but the chap must have had a fair bit of chipboard laying around, so he made some boxes out of chipboard. So I think they'll be handy for just for transporting honey when I go down to the bees and bring honey home. So now getting back to the wax, this is the colour of the standard colour of our normal wax that we've got yellow, depending on what flowers are out, or that whitish.
That's not what you got out of.
No, that's our standard. That's the standard colour we get. Now this is the colour of the wax. Now I boiled it down for about a half an hour, and I got 17.5 kilos, 17.6 kilos of wax out of all these frames. Yeah. So look at that, beautiful. So it's a little bit dark, as you can see, but it's beautiful wax just the same. So now the one point I really want to stress is, one thing I really want to stress, and I wanted to say this, for anybody that gets a hold of any second-hand beekeeping equipment, particularly if somebody's had hives that have been eaten out by small hive beetle, always assume that they're contaminated with American foul brood or European foul brood. So you never leave it to chance. So I've got my burner which I use to scorch everything that's had AFB, and I won't be using any of this until I scorch them with to cater for the possibility of AFB. The other thing I wanted to mention was, oh yeah, there's a bit of plastic stuff in amongst it. There's a couple of plastic queen excluders which I really like, but they went in the bin in case they got contaminated, and a couple of frames had plastic ends, so they went in the bin. What else was there's a couple of plastic foundation, they went straight in the bin. I don't use them, I don't believe in them. So I don't think there's anything else that I wanted to, the main thing I really wanted to stress is that any second-hand beekeeping equipment you might get a hold of yourself, always assume that it could be contaminated with disease, and so that's the thing. So have you got anything to add, Wilma?
No, I think you've pretty well covered everything.
So it was a mammoth job for those couple of days.
It was. You were very busy and did long hours.
I was really keen to see how much wax there was in all this stuff. And some of it you wouldn't even sort of give it a second thought. You wouldn't have think there'd be anything in there. But it's amazing how much there was. Anyway, we better close now. And on top of all this that was on the back of my Land Cruiser, the bloke, right at the end, the bloke said to me, "Oh, do you want this stand to put your bees on?" He had this great big galvanised stand which takes 2 people to lift. I said, "Oh yeah, that'd be right." So we put it on top of all the boxes and tied it down, and I think I was doing, just lucky I didn't have very far to come home, but Wilma saw me drive up the driveway, and
my eyes popped out of my head.
Got this big mountain of stuff on the back of my truck. But anyway, I'm not sure how we're going for time, so we better close now, and we'll catch you later. All the best. Bye.